One of the things that my my father always drummed into me when I was at art school and learning my craft was the importance of going to life drawing classes and the importance of learning to draw from the human figure. And when I was at Disney and also DreamWorks, I was struck by the extraordinary emphasis on life drawing classes and the fact that life drawing classes were laid on for the animators, and animators were very much encouraged to go and draw from life. And nowadays, now that we do CG animation and we have so many digital tools to help us, it is arguably less important than it used to be, because being able to draw well, draw skillfully is not as important a skill as it once was. However, I think that learning to draw from life and learning to capture a pose in a few lines is still a really, really important skill to acquire. And I highly recommend that you do take some drawing classes if you're able to, especially classes which are aimed at animators or aimed at capturing quick, fast studies from life. 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, nothing more. Certainly nothing over 5 or 10 minutes, because then you're really into doing finely rendered drawing, and it's less about capturing the pose. But I think the the answer to the question why learn to do gesture drawing is really about creating dynamic poses in animation. And if you're going to do good poses in animation, you want a strong line of action. What do I mean by a line of action? Well, here's some drawings of SpongeBob, and you can see how the line of action here is changing from here to here, and also from here to here. Line of action is the dynamic through line in a drawing that creates vitality and a sense of drama. And you want to be able to capture that in a drawing. It'll make your thumbnails more interesting, and ultimately it will make your poses more interesting. So, when you go to a life drawing class, if you don't have much experience with drawing, this is probably what you're going to end up with. This is what most people do. They kind of trace an outline around the body, because of course that's what we see. You want to try and avoid drawing this way if you possibly can. Beware the curse of the outline, and try and think of the line of action as being something that runs through the body, and not just draw the outline. Outline drawings tend to be lacking in dynamism. They tend to be a bit flat, they tend to be a bit lifeless, and they always end up looking a bit like a sort of crime scene recreation. And this really is not what we want. We want something that's much more dynamic. So something more like this. We don't know who this person is, but there's no fine rendering to this. It's all just about capturing a quick line of action in the pose. A drawing like this is really, really good for animation, because it helps capture the spirit of a pose. And we all know what's going on here. And this pose might have taken the artist 20-25 seconds to do. Here's another one where there's a really nice line of action running down the head, through the body into the feet, and down this arm, obviously resting on an umbrella or some kind of stick. This line of action also helps us show where the weight is in this drawing. And it's a really nice drawing, and really good for our purposes. Here's another one, really nice line of action here. We can see the weight finely balanced. We know that both legs are taking weight, but this one more so than the other. Here's a whole sheet of these quick sketches, and the idea of these things is to capture the essence of a pose in a few lines. And 30 seconds, 1 minute poses. This is what I recommend. If you can't find a good drawing class, just get someone to pose for you. They don't have to be naked. It can be fully clothed. Just doing quick poses, 30 seconds. We'll get a group of people together and all pose for each other, which is what we used to do over at Escape Studios when I was teaching over there. We'd get all the students together and we would just draw each other. And we'd all do 30-second poses, doing sort of superhero poses, dynamic, strong poses. The king of this was Walt Stanchfield, who was a Disney artist, and he was with Disney for decades. I mean, he really was he'd been there at the golden age of Disney, and I was lucky enough to attend some of his classes when I was working in Florida in the 1980s. And he was a remarkable man, and did drawing classes just as I've described, all about capturing the essence of the pose. Now, we don't want to do finely rendered drawings here. We really just want to do quick, rapid character sketches, just enough to capture the essence of a pose. So I hear you asking, what on earth has this got to do with animation? Well, here's a drawing by Rob Minkoff that was in my animation sketchbook, and this is a drawing that Rob did for me on Roller Coaster Rabbit, where I had done some rather stiff drawings of the rabbit, and he went over them and made them much more dynamic. And you can see that this drawing has a beautiful line of action in it. This is the kind of thing that you get from doing good figure drawing. Really nice pose, really nice line of action. And okay, this is a drawing, but even in CG we still need a strong line of action for our drawings. And the way I usually begin with a drawing is I'll start with the head and draw a line downwards to represent the spine and the legs, and really get that flow of that main flow of the body in just a couple of lines. Then I'll be adding hips, legs, keeping a strong line of action down to the main weight-bearing leg. Then I'll usually add shoulders, which tend to counterbalance the hips, and finally at the end add the arms, which will help to balance the body. How long should we do a pose like this? I would say a maximum of three minutes. You can do an awful lot in 30 seconds. And if you're having trouble finding drawing classes, a Google search should reveal a local place that does classes. Here in London, the Lara School does life drawing classes, and you can sign up for their courses. They're not too expensive. Usually it's possible to find inexpensive life drawing classes near you. But I highly recommend you do attend gesture drawing classes and get in the habit of drawing the human figure. It will help so much with your thumbnail sketches and help so much with your ability to capture a pose and do really, really strong poses in CG animation. I don't think it is necessary to be an excellent draftsman to be a CG animator. In fact, I think it definitely isn't. But it is necessary to be able to capture a pose. And if you can do a nice life drawing, then that really, really helps to do nice poses in 3D.